In May of 2021, 23-year-old Daniel Gunderson murdered his 20-year-old girlfriend Katie Pham in his stepfather's garage in Ridgecrest, California. He stabbed her multiple times in the head, face, and chest with a 24-inch axe. The two had only been dating for a month, and the night before the murder, Daniel displayed animosity towards Katie over jealousy issues he was having. The next day, Daniel called Katie to apologize and asked to pick her up. She agreed, and he picked her up from her apartment and took her back to his stepfather's residence. Painters at the residence heard screams, and when they investigated, they found Daniel covered in blood and Katie face down on a mattress topper. Daniel was arrested, and the police stated he appeared to be acting strangely but felt it was an act. During his trial, Daniel's attorney argued for a verdict of voluntary manslaughter, stating the murder wasn't intentional and that Daniel had snapped in the moment. The prosecutor argued that Daniel had intended to kill Katie and asked the jury to find him guilty of first-degree murder. Daniel's cellmate testified that he admitted to planning the murder of Katie. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he faces 25 years to life in prison. Sentencing is scheduled for October 25, 2023. On May 26, 1990, Marlene Warren was at her home in Wellington, Florida with her son and some of his friends. A person dressed as a clown knocked on her door carrying flowers and balloons. When Marlene answered, she went to grab the items and the clown shot her in the face. The clown then calmly walked back to their car and drove away from the scene. Marlene was rushed to the hospital, but she died 2 days later. There were suspicions that Marlene's husband Michael and Sheila Keene may have been involved, but there was not enough evidence to make an arrest. Sheila was a co-worker of Michael's and began to have feelings for him. The case remained unsolved for decades until new detectives reopened it in 2014. With new evidence at their disposal, detectives began working on new leads, and in 2017, Sheila Keene Warren, who had married Michael in 2002, was arrested in Virginia. She was extradited to Florida and charged with first-degree murder. Because of COVID and evidence issues, it took 6 years to finally go to trial, but in August of 2023, she pleaded not guilty. The prosecution argued that Sheila dressed as a clown and killed Marlene Warren in a jealous rage unbeknownst to Michael. She changed her plea to guilty and was convicted of second-degree murder and received a 12-year sentence minus the 6 years she had already served. In April 2019, 4 bodies were discovered at RJR Maintenance and Management in Mandan, North Dakota. 52-year-old Robert Fackler, 42-year-old Adam Fuhrer, 50-year-old Bill Cobb, and 45-year-old Lois Cobb had each been shot and stabbed to death. Their suffering was evident as they had endured over 100 stab wounds, some specifically targeting vital organs. The investigation uncovered surveillance footage showing a man driving a Ford F-150 around the time of the murders. This man was identified as Chad Isaac, leading to his arrest just 3 days later on April 4th. Suspicion deepened when clothing resembling those worn by the suspect in the video was found in Isaac's dryer. Chad faced first-degree murder charges, and after a few delays due to conflicts with several defense attorneys, his trial finally began in August 2021 with him acting as his own lawyer. Throughout the trial, he staunchly maintained his innocence, but on August 20, 2021, Chad Isaac was found guilty on all charges related to the quadruple murders. Despite the conviction, the motive behind the brutal murders was never discovered. A few months later, he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole. On August 31, 2022, Chad Isaac hung himself at the North Dakota State Penitentiary while waiting on the outcome of his appeal. On August 21, 2023, 33-year-old neonatal nurse Lucy Letby was convicted of being the UK's most prolific child serial killer in modern British history. She was found guilty of murdering 7 infants, and she attempted to kill 6 others at the Countess of Chester Hospital in the English city of Chester, where she worked in a neonatal unit. The murders took place between June 2015 and June 2016. Letby's methods of killing included injecting babies with air, force-feeding some infants with milk, and poisoning 2 of the infants with insulin. During her sentencing hearing, Lucy refused to appear in court, but the judge proceeded in her absence. He emphasized that her conduct was a gross breach of trust placed in medical and caring professionals and displayed a malevolence bordering on sadism. The trial lasted 10 months, and Lucy Letby was given 7 whole life terms, 1 for each of the murders, making her only the 4th woman in UK history to receive such a severe sentence. The jury was unable to reach verdicts on the 6 counts of attempted murder after lengthy deliberations. The case also revealed that concerns about her conduct had been raised within the hospital 2 years prior to her actually being arrested, leading to many deaths that could have been prevented. On September 12, 2021, 39-year-old Antoine Suggs had been out drinking in St. Paul, Minnesota. As the night progressed, an altercation unfolded near the White Squirrel Bar, and Suggs fatally shot 4 acquaintances in the head. The victims were Jasmine Sturm, her brother Matthew Pettis, her boyfriend Lois Foreman III, and their friend Natasha Flug Presley. In the afternoon, a farmer in Sheridan, Wisconsin, stumbled upon an abandoned SUV in his cornfield. Inside were the bodies of the 4 victims. The authorities pieced together what happened using the victim's cell phone data and stated that the murders occurred between 3:30 and 3:48 a.m. Antoine, who had fled to Arizona by this point, turned himself in, claiming he acted in self-defense, convinced that the group intended to rob him. But as the story unraveled, it was revealed that Darren McWright, Antoine's father, helped him drive through the Wisconsin cornfield to hide the bodies. Darren pleaded guilty in 2022 and received a 5-year sentence. Antoine went to trial in April 2022, and it came out that he had actually targeted the victims after a night of drinking, though the actual motives remain unknown. He was found guilty on all 4 counts of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 103 years in prison.